Joining us now is one of the other brand new football coaches to the Big 12. He is Brent Brennan, who was at San Jose State. Now he's in Arizona. Coach, glad to have you in the Big 12. The Four Corners. Why not make the conference a little bit different every year, huh?
It's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting to be in this thing, and what a great day this has been.
You were just telling us you have a unique relationship and history with Kalani Sitake. And so I'd like BYU fans to know more about this, because you said jokingly, can we do this interview together? We'll make that happen at some point. But where did you first cross paths with Kalani, and why are you so close with him?
We were both younger coaches. Kalani's younger than I am, but in the Pac-12 at the same time. And so he was coaching at Utah, and I was at Oregon State. And so it started up a friendship. We were connected by, I forget who, maybe Joe Ciamalo. And then that just kind of stayed in touch over the years. Then all of a sudden we found ourselves both on the staff with Gary Anderson at Oregon State. And I was a holdover from the previous staff, and then Kalani was coming from Utah, so we didn't know those guys. So we ended up spending a lot of time together, our families. We lived in the same neighborhood. We have a lot of really cool history.
That's awesome. Coach, some of the coaches that we've previously talked to have that are new-time coaches to the league and also to the team that they're currently with have come in and really kind of had to revamp a program. I would say that you're maybe in a bit of a different, unique spot, given the fact that, you got what is considered by some people one of probably the most powerful or explosive offenses in the conference, or expected to be, right? With Noah Fafita, the guys on the edges. Is there anything when you came in that maybe caught you by surprise as you made the transition?
No, I think it's the biggest thing, like the big differences in football. That like last time I became a head coach, there was no NIL, there was no transfer portal. And then when this one, and I was taking over a team that had not had a ton of success, where now we're in the situation where we have portal, NIL, and the team was successful a year ago. So people are actively trying to recruit our players, and so it was a much different time that way. And that was the biggest kind of challenge and biggest difference this time around.
How were you able to hold on to that core? What was the secret sauce? Because it worked.
It had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with those players. I think they'd been through the fire together. They'd been through some early seasons, where they struggled and didn't have success, and then they had the great season together, and then the coaching staff left, and that was another struggle, and so they were kind of galvanized through that process, and I think that led to them all being extremely connected, and they wanted to move forward together, which I thought was just really cool, because no one's making that decision right now in college football, right? Everyone's choosing situation or money or whatever it is, but those guys were so connected. They chose each other. It makes it pretty special.
You're in the Big 12 Conference. Is there – what do you anticipate in style of play, especially from the defensive side of the ball, now being in this new conference, having had a history typically in the Pac-12 and Mountain West?
It's funny. I talked about this a little bit when I was on stage a while ago, but all the decisions you make, like schematically or whatever in the summertime, they're never worth it. Because we don't play a conference game for 4 weeks, So because our game against Kansas State is a non-conference game,
which is so strange,
which is just crazy, yeah. But yeah, so by then you're going to have 4 games to break, which normally you're working off a 4 to 6 game breakdown anyway. So a lot of those determinations will make them you do preliminary scouting reports and all that stuff. But I just know, as an assistant coach, I was always like, why are we doing this? It's not it's not relevant. We're going to play 3 games, and then all of a sudden we're going to get the real stuff and have to go through all this stuff all again. And then also now, rosters change so much with the portal that, people are changing over 30, 40, 60% of their roster every year. So that person that you watch film of this spring from BYU or Texas Tech, all of a sudden, he's playing somewhere else, and you're like, oh, that was a problem. Right. It's not a problem anymore, So,
what's been the biggest challenge that you have encountered since you took over at Arizona from day one to where you sit today?
I would say the NIL thing. It's so we didn't have to deal with that at San Jose. We just didn't have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now you're competing against current roster. So our roster, because of the head coaching change, we had 3 portals this year instead of 2. Right, so that was a way different, So we had 2 portals in the second semester of the school year, you know what I mean, which is crazy. And then a lot of those things are just being decided by which collective can give kids the most money. So it's really hard. And I think for people I know, Kalani's this way, the people that I know, we're built this way, that are going to be about development of young people and building a team and building a roster over time. I think that new component makes that challenging.
Is there one player in particular that maybe the country doesn't know about, the conference doesn't know about, that you're excited about?
I mean, I'd say there's a handful of players. I think people are going to be excited to watch a lot of guys on that defensive line. I think there's going to be some surprising players there, and we're excited for them to get going.
As you look back on your head coaching career, I'm always fascinated by the different mentors that head coaches have, that they're like, man, I have a little bit of him in me and this situation in me. Who were some of your most influential figures that have pushed you into the coach psychology and the way that you approach the game today?
I'd say the biggest one is Coach Tomey, which is cool because he was like super close with Coach Edwards, right? Like,
yes,
that was one of his best friends. And so, but he was a guy. He's the one guy in this profession that I literally think of every single day, which I think is, from anything like what would Coach Tomey do to Coach Tomey would kill me for what I just did, But he's definitely that guy for me, and it's cool to be back in Tucson because his wife lives there, and so we get to see her every now and then, which is really, really fun. And his son is in the States, so we're still connected. But he would be that guy for me. There are others. Mike Riley was great. Gary Anderson, Mike McIntyre, Rich Ellerson. Like I was lucky to work for a lot of good head coaches, and and now being in this role, you do draw from all the stuff they taught you over time.
Very nice.
Picked to finish 5th in the Big 12, but you're one of 5 teams that got a first place vote. Like the parity and just like the uncertainty of who's actually going to be good, we don't know. How do you attack that angle? Because people do expect you to be good, but still it's like, there were 4 other teams that got a first place vote too.
I think the conference is a monster. I really do. I think top to bottom, there's more teams that are hard to beat. And I think that's the one thing that's kind of getting lost in the conversation with the dissolving of the Pac-12 and y'all joining a year ago, and then now here, the Four Corner schools come. Because I've played at your place. I know what that feels like. I've played at Utah. I know what that feels like. And then all the new venues. So I think it's going to be one of those deals where, like, anyone can win at any time. And that's going to be fun for the fan and stressful for the ball coaches.
Yeah. So the furthest you guys are traveling this year is to
Florida, Central Florida.
Does that change the game day prep the week heading into it? Are you guys already taking different courses of action to kind of prep for those games?
I think I have a little bit of experience with this because in the Mountain West you had to go to Hawaii every other year.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Yep. So it's like you're going basically across the country.
Yeah.
For that and dealing with a similar climate. So, I think, we'll try and leave an extra day early just so you can kind of get acclimated a little bit. But some people like to go the day before because they're just like, no, forget it. We're just going to go in. We're going to play the game and get out.
Yeah.
So the travel, that part of it, there's going to be a natural learning to that process. Just what is it going to be like? What's game day like at this place or this place? I know what it's like at your place.
Coach Brennan, great to talk with you. We appreciate you taking some time for us on BYU Sports Nation.
Stopping by.
No problem.